Well, let me come at this a different way. Let me ask you this. What is the appropriate role of spirituality or the appropriate role of religion in the public sphere or in all of our private lives? How do you calibrate what the appropriate place for that is?
An authentic spirituality would increase our capacity to love and have compassion, to take care of people who are not as fortunate as us, to look for social justice, to take care of our ecology and our ecosystem, to see that there is economic justice as well. Yeah. So I think those are all expressions of a genuine spirituality. I don't think spirituality is some kind of self-righteous morality, which is, in the words of H.G. Wells, just jealousy with a halo. So I don't think spirituality is about following the 10 Commandments, because there's no way you can follow rules of moral righteousness unless you have an authentic experience of your deeper self, which is connected to all that exists.
Is spirituality the same thing as religion? Am I conflating terms that you don't think are alike?
I think all religion was based on a spiritual experience, and all religion has three things in common. One was that there was an experience of transcendence, which means you went beyond your small ego identity, right, and you touched something that was sacred and outside of space-time. The second was, out of that, the emergence of Platonic values like truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, evolution of consciousness, love, compassion, joy, equanimity. And the third experience, believe it or not, was the understanding that physical death is not necessarily the end of survival, that there's a core consciousness that exists outside of space-time that is not subject to physical death. This is universal. Whether you look at any religion, these three things you will find. Right. And therefore, they were based on experience. What happened afterwards, of course, is that institutions took over, and they said God gave humans the truth, and then the devil said, let's organize it, we'll call it religion.
Well, I hear you talk about how a fundamental tenet of a spiritual life is a commitment to social justice. You mentioned social justice. Very much at issue in the debate over the appropriate role of religion in the public sphere at this very moment are things that organized religion are putting out into the world as mandates that seem at odds with the concept of social justice.
Yes, I think organized religion is fear-based, if I may say so, and is all about control and manipulation through fear, and tends to be therefore more fundamental in its lack of evolution. It's very, if I might say, based on primitive ideas of how we came to be.
Yeah. So a little controversial point of view you got there.
I don't think so. I mean, the Tea Partiers might disagree with me, but...
They might.
But otherwise, I think to deny the fact of evolution, to deny the fact of global warming, is not to be looking at the facts and not to be aware.
Well, let me move you on to a little bit more familiar ground, and that is this concept of mind-body medicine, which, as I've said, I think, and you would have said too, is sort of at the core of your belief system. Can you articulate it as you would describe it, as you would define it, so people understand exactly what you mean?
Well, my training was in neuroendocrinology, which is the study of brain chemicals, in the 1970s. And we were looking at neuropeptides, which are the molecules of emotions. Yep. But we discovered in the 70s, when I say we, the people who are looking at this, scientists, amongst them me, that these were molecules of emotion, that there were receptors to these molecules in the body, including in the immune system. So these molecules are modulators of the immune system. They fine-tune the immune system. When you are in an internal state of joy or equanimity or contentment or peace, this optimizes what is called self-regulation or homeostasis in the body. So this was all, at that time, very preliminary. But now we know that you cannot have a mental event without a brain representation. I can ask you to reflect, for example, on certain questions, and I can then see that your cortex gets activated. Or you can have a emotional conversation which fosters love, and then you see that different parts of the brain, limbic system, get activated. Or when you're fearful, then your reptilian brain gets activated, which is in charge of the 4 F's: feeding, fighting, fleeing, and reproduction. Okay, so
I did wonder where you were going with that.
So
thank you for getting us remain on the air, actually, as a result of the way you do it.
So there is no mental event that does not have a brain representation. Now we know something even more interesting. By changing your habits of thinking, behavior, and feeling, you can actually change the neural networks in your brain. So your mind can influence not only the structure of your brain and your immune system, but actually turn certain genes on and off.
Right.
So genes are not fixed in their behavior. The human body is very plastic. That's what we're recognizing. And consciousness is something so fundamental that from the level of consciousness, we can affect things in our body.
So the shorthand of this might be, if I am somehow able to rid my brain of negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative emotions, I am more likely to reset my physical health in a good direction.
Yes, but not by thinking positive thoughts, because that's a very stressful thing to do. If you've been around somebody who's exasperatingly positive, you don't want to be near them.
That's true. Right.
Okay? So more than positive thinking, it's how to be able to observe your mind, what we call mindfulness in Eastern wisdom traditions, a quieter mind, an observant mind, a reflective mind that asks and lives meaningful questions like, who am I? What do I want? What's the meaning of a good relationship? The really important things in life. What is the best way to harness my creativity or my imagination? What are my unique skills and talents? How do I use them? The examined life, more than anything else, will in fact influence. Live the questions, and life will move you into the answer.